Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with yet another brew review, and as promised I am going to tackle the Cuvée Dry Hopping by Brasserie Dupont, so their annual experimental dry hopped Saison. Now before we get into this particular beer, I do have to correct myself, because yesterday I said that the Saison Dupont dry hop uses Styrian Golding hops. Of course that was completely wrong. It is Styrian Wolf. But in my brewing past I've worked with Styrian Golding so freaking much that this hop is by default on my mind. So Styrian Wolf it is, and apart from that, go check out that video if you haven't already, because today we are going to tackle its, I want to say big brother, but it's not a big brother, it's also a 6.5% ABV, also with Styrian Wolf in this case, so I am very curious whether there is a difference or not, and actually to really figure that out I should have pit them against each other, but alas, I only have one of each. Ooh. Do they have anything in English here? Of course not. So what language are we gonna take? Let's go for Spanish this time. Cerveza con fermentación continua en botella. Ingredientes: agua, malte de cebado, azúcar, lúpulo y levadura. Meaning, beer with re-fermentation in the bottle. Ingredients: water, malted barley, sugar, hops and yeast. I think that's about it. So I think the main difference in this one would be the sugar, and it is a bit funny that this one also uses Styrian Golding, so I'm very curious. Now of course I forgot to bring up a glass to the studio, so I'm gonna use another random glass, this case the Troubadour by the Musketeers. We've already seen that one before. Branded bottle cap, a nice old school logo, a nice old school label as well. Not a big fan of the yellow and like poisony green. It's like a Kawasaki motorcycle crashed into a hayfield. But yeah, I guess it'll have to do. Yesterday's beer is still relatively fresh in my mind. I haven't drank another beer since, so with a bit of luck I'm still able to compare. First off, a huge amount of foam in this one and extremely carbonated. I have the idea that this is a bit more to the orange copper side, so a bit more gold than yellow, whereas yesterday was a bit more pale, a bit more yellowish. Of course, again, full disclaimer, this glass is a bit wider than my regular tasting glasses, so this could be just a visual trick, because there is more mass that the light has to travel to, so it comes across as darker. But whether that is the case or not, it's close, it's very close, but this comes across as a bit more gold, but extremely heavily carbonated, and that easily shows because of this growing head of foam, where this head of foam is extremely dense, major amount of tiny bubbles, very creamy on top here, almost no gaps, no large bubbles. So yeah, this is what a head of foam should look like, and this makes me want to go skiing again. Oh, this smells a bit more malty than yesterday's beer. So it's a bit less dry, a bit less aggressive, let's say, but a bit more mellow, a bit more malty, a bit more carbon dioxide, but that may not be a surprise. Yeah, it is a bit more malty. I don't want to say sweet or sugary, but that sweetness does mellow out the aroma oftentimes, and that might be the case here. Now, notice that this keeps on growing. So I think I am very glad at this moment that I use this glass instead of my regular tasting glass, which is a bit narrower and a bit less volume. But I have the feeling that we are going to have to start tasting. So, cheers! What a hard life I have. I should have gotten a spoon here. Oh, this is a vastly different beer. Even though it uses the same base beer and apparently in this case the same hops, I feel like there is a huge difference. It's less dry, it is less bitter. It does hold some sweetness, and I think that might have been an end goal, and that is why they used sugar, because I do have a bit of caramel flavor in here as well, and that may be from a combination of toasted malts and that sugar. Now, oftentimes when a label says sugar, it can be all kinds of sugar. It could be dextrose, maltose, fructose, anything that to the brewer's discretion, basically. But even that very dark candico caramel can be put on a label as sugar. And this has a very light caramel flavor. And when we say caramel, we often think a bit of diacetyl, a bit of butter as well, but that is not the case in this beer. But it is very, very mellow. Also, the carbonation in the glass is extremely aggressive and very high, while in the mouthfeel it is chill. Yesterday I talked about a herbal component with that clove, a bit of sage, and that fruity part with the grapefruit and the lychee. And in this case, none of that. I mean, it's interesting in itself, but it's very, very different than yesterday's beer. It is mellower, it is sweeter, it is less dry, less bitter. The after flavor is very hoppy, but more fruity hoppy. So for the score, I am absolutely torn, because yesterday I said 4 and I might bump it up a notch. And I think I will, because I want to score this lower, but I don't want to stick it at 3.5. And I want the difference between these two large enough. So I am going to bump that dry hop up to 425. And I am going to say this is a 375, because I think it is too good and too qualitative to give it 3.5 or less. But I do think that one is so much better that it deserves more than just a quarter of a difference. So 375, 425. Yeah, both lovely beers, but I think that this one is more, accessible. And I thought that one was a gateway saison, but this one is like on the edge. It is somewhere between a blonde or a triple or a saison or somewhere in between. I think this is a fantastic gateway, a fantastic introduction to saisons or farmhouse ales, as you will. But I also like that one way more. This one is better for hot weather, terrace, mountainside or beach. But then again, that one, the first reflex I had with that one was get myself a box and hand them out to some friends that I know that love that style. And this one, I'm not going to say it's generic, but it is more, more classic and more accessible. So again, 375. Let's keep it at that. And this shows how amazing it is that with a very similar, almost identical grain bill or ingredients bill, you can still produce vastly different beers. And if you can do that consistently, you're a good brewer. But that all being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you want to get in contact with me, my credentials are in the description. Visit Antwerp, let me know. If you want to see more, subscribe and hit the bell icon. You'll get notified whenever I upload something. And if you want to support this channel, you might want to visit the Patreon page or just send me a beer that I can review, or just share videos. That is absolutely free and helps out a lot. Until the next video, cheers.